Hey guys, today I've made a short video demonstrating the concepts of ethnographic observations. We're all probably wondering, why do we need to learn about ethnographic observations? Well, the simple answer is it is the best method to develop a product hand-tailored for the customer's needs. Now let's look at the topics we'll be discussing. What is ethnography and its origin, guidelines for ethnographic observations, and a general framework when dealing with ethnographic observations, participant observations, and we'll also be looking at some advantages and disadvantages. So what is ethnography? Ethnography in layman's terms is an observational science which deals with how to figure out how to make products easier to use and also what products to invent for the target audience. Now you guys might be thinking, surely it isn't as simple as this. Well, it is and it isn't. Let's look at an example. This was how computers looked 50 years ago. They were enormous and clunky, and it was largely thought that nobody would want a computer in their home. And this is how a computer looks now. Light and portable while also being powerful. Back then, it was thought that nobody would want a machine so big and tedious, but the engineers at Xerox PARC thought that if all the technology could be compressed into a tiny box, then people could find computers more appealing. So it took some ethnographic research to achieve that. The goal of an evaluation is to obtain the necessary data to influence system redesign. Unfortunately, it is very easy to misinterpret observations, so a general ethnographic framework needs to be implemented. While preparing for an ethnographic observation, you must familiarize yourself with the system, set initial goals and prepare questions and gain access and permission to interview the participants in their workspace. To collect data, we observe and interview users in their workplace and collect subjective, objective, quantitative, and qualitative data. You can take pictures and write notes for this. You should record your interviews and reflect on it. Overall, just be consistent with your interview process. The steps to follow while analyzing data are compile the collected data in a database, quantify data, and compile the statistics. It's also worthwhile to note that starting the analysis before the field study is completed allows refinements to be made. Let's look at an example. Here's a video clip of the first time people used a Xerox.
We want two-sided copies. Unload top paper tray. Now, do we want them collated? What? Reverse order the originals? You gotta be kidding. This is definitely a bug. Press start.
Does that relate to that?
Unload top paper
We didn't do
tray.
that. That's not this. That's not the paper.
Today, it's common for companies to do usability tests. But back then, Lucy Suckman had to think of it, and she realized that she could observe people to figure out how to make their products easier to use and also what products to invent for the target audience. Asking people to report a problem is not optimal, as people don't think to report a lot of the problems they think are too trivial or they themselves might have not noticed. As an ethnographer, our job is to sit and watch people in their work environment and notice the most trivial problems. So ethnographic studies can last for months, so being patient is a huge factor. Now let's look at the advantages. Increased trust among researchers and participants. It develops designer-user working relationships. Users become active participants in the design and gives the holistic perspective of the field of study. Now let's look at some of the challenges. Overlooking important information, misinterpretation of observation, observer bias, and disruption of normal practices are all things we should consider before using ethnographic observations. In conclusion, ethnography isn't a convenience, it's a necessity in modern product usability tests. And if you can conduct it successfully, it makes for one of the best user experiences. I'd like to leave on a quote now. The best way to predict the future is to invent it. Thank you.